Let's talk about banned, prohibited weapons in the UK. And this is a response and appendix to a video by That Gear Guy. Hi folks, Matt Easton here, Scholar Gladiator and Eastern Antique Arms. I am an antique dealer, as you know. I've worked for auction houses, I've also worked with museums, I work in product development, working with the Royal Armouries, Windlass, LKHM, various other companies at the moment. So I'm very entrenched in this world and I have to deal with import and export and ownership in the UK all the time. In addition to this, I also consult solicitors. I get approached in my business as an antique dealer, I get approached by solicitors where somebody's had something seized or been arrested, and they ask me for advice on what the object is, if it's old or if there's some other reason to be owning it. So I'm quite au fait, shall we say, and up to date with the latest laws. I've also recently had a meeting with the Home Office, and I am myself formally a Home Office civil servant. For 17 years I worked for the government, so I'm very entrenched in this stuff. Now I've just been watching a video by That Gear Guy. Now first of all, great channel. I'm a fan, a recent subscriber, and I've been watching your videos for the last couple of months, I'd say, and really good stuff. Okay, so he just put up a video yesterday about banned weapons in the UK, this prohibited weapon list. Now I'm not going to go through that list, he does that in his video, and I'll link his video down below if you haven't seen it already. But here's the important thing. One thing I don't think he made clear enough in his video, and that's why I'm absolutely jumping on this and making a video straight away, is I don't want anyone to go destroying antique, and I'll talk about what antique is in a second, antique weapons because they think they're illegal. Check out the facts first. So he made a specific example of a knuckle duster knife from World War I, it being, or implied that it was now illegal. It's not illegal, because antique in UK law and in tax as well, if you're importing something, is 100 or more years old. So if something's 100 years old, it's an antique. That means World War I fighting knives, for example, trench knives, or even knuckle dusters, which are on paper prohibited weapons, if they are antique, i.e. 100 years old, and as you know, the First World War ended in 1918, so as of 2018 they are antique, they are not illegal. Okay? Antiques are explicitly exempt from this law. Therefore, any of the weapons on that list, punch daggers, that's why I'm holding this. This is an Indian Qatar of probably 19th, possibly 18th century with gold Kafgari, a very valuable antique. This is not illegal because it's over 100 years old. Any other type of punch dagger, any ninja weapons, even throwing stars, sword sticks, curved swords, all of the things, you know, even types of baton and things that are on the prohibited list, and knuckle dusters as well. Anything that's over 100 years old, or 100 years or older, is not prohibited on that list of offensive weapons. Okay, so you can own, and please don't destroy. I literally weep when I see the police post up pictures of the knife bin amnesty things that they've collected, and they have a big spread of things that they're about to send off to some kind of melting or destruction machine. I don't know how they do it, actually. If you are a policeman and you know how they destroy them, let me know in the comments below. And I sometimes see antiques in there, and I'm thinking, oh my God. So, I mean, I've literally, I counted up one of these photos I saw, there was like about £10,000 worth of antiques sitting on a table. And it's like, how many people could you help if you just sold that into the auction world? These are not being used by criminals. I mean, they're being put into amnesty bins, so therefore they're not being used by criminals. Anyway, that's politics. Let's put that aside. So the main point I really want to make is that things that are 100 years old are not prohibited if they are on that list. Punch daggers, sword sticks, knuckle dusters, all of those things, perfectly legal if they're 100 years old, antique. In addition to that, okay, and this is the appendix to my own video now, there are legal defences for owning such things. So one of the interesting ones that's only come up relatively recently, and a lot of law firms I've spoken to are now using this to defend clients, is of historical importance. Now that is open to interpretation, and I've actually recently consulted a law firm about whether something was of historical importance, and as it turns out it wasn't. I said no, it's not, it's trash. However, examples of things which can be of historical importance. Number one, if it's maybe from World War II. Now, an interesting thing is, you know, fighting knives, trench knives, things like this, Obviously, similar models were made in World War II to World War I. Now, World War I have a clear exemption because they're 100 years old and therefore antique. They shouldn't be seized, they're not even covered by this law. They are exempt. But if something is of historical importance, it also has a legal defence. That means you can go to court and say, look, this is historically important because it was carried in World War II by commandos in North Africa, and it has historical importance. They contact a militaria dealer or an arms and armour dealer like me, and we say, yes, we write a thing, go, I agree, that's of historical importance, it was used in World War II, here's some photos of some commandos carrying them, there you go. And that is a legal defence, and it's up to the judge at that point to decide what to do. But it is a legal defence for ownership and buying and selling as well. So historical importance. And another example of historical importance is, was it used in a famous movie, in a Hollywood movie? Let's say, for example, there was a punch dagger that was made in 1950, okay? So it's not antique, but it is old. And then in 1977, it was used in a little movie called Star Wars. At that point, you could argue, quite validly in my opinion, that it has historical importance because it's used in a movie, okay? There could be other reasons why it might have historical importance. Maybe something was belonged to a famous person, a famous, singer or actor or whatever. So it's actually a fairly broad and fairly soft and open to interpretation, I believe, in order to enable a valid legal defence for historical importance. Just a disclaimer here, I am not a lawyer and I am not qualified to give legal advice. Okay, that's very important in the UK to state that so that no one can sue me. This isn't legal advice. This is personal advice based on my observation and experience and my understanding of the written legislation. Finally, there are also, don't necessarily despair when you look at this list, there are other legal defences for owning these things. For example, I own modern-made curved swords completely legally, because other legal defences include for the practice of sport, for the practice of martial arts, for the practice of reenactment. I do all of those things. For filmmaking, I also do that. For theatre productions, I don't do that so much, although I have trained some actors for the Globe and stuff like that. And also religious reasons, if you're Sikh, for example. So Sikhs have a complete carte blanche to basically own all of, well, certainly curved swords and things related to their religion. So, and there are other defences as well, but those are the main ones that I'm familiar with. And I personally, my legal defence is for owning modern curved swords, or potentially even something like a, well, not like modern punch daggers, completely prohibited actually, but specifically for curved swords, there are explicit legal defences for martial arts, sports, fencing, historical fencing, whatever, reenactment, filmmaking, theatre, blah, blah, blah. Okay? So there are lots of ways you can even own modern ones of these. But the main point I want you to go away, and again, check out that Gear Guys video linked below, is that please don't tell all your friends, don't let anybody, if you're a collector or you know people are collectors, don't let anybody destroy something just because it's a punch dagger or just because it's a knuckle duster or got a knuckle duster guard on a trench knife or a sword stick if it's antique, because you don't need to and it's worth money. I mean, sell it to me if you want to sell it. If you don't want to own it, contact me at Eastern Antique Arms and I'll buy it from you, or any other arms and armour dealer for impartiality. The fact is that antiques are exempt from this legislation. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks a lot to that Gear Guy for raising this topic, because it helped me to springboard into correcting a misconception, and I hope I'll see you back on the channel soon. Cheers folks!